I'm coming from Argentina. That's where I was born and grew up. And I'm going to talk to you for 5 minutes about it. You are lucky that it's only 5 minutes because I could speak otherwise a whole day, and you would probably get bored. Some basics. This is in South America. We speak Spanish. It's the eighth biggest country in the planet. It's the biggest country which is Spanish-speaking. And like the US, because it's so vast, it has most climates and most landscapes in the world. It goes from the South Pole right into the rainforests, crossing the Tropic of Capricorn. It's vast, it's beautiful. We are pretty homogeneous there as a society. Everyone has shares the same ethnicity and language and religion, really. So we can say that the colonizers were very successful in bringing their culture, and that's why King Ferdinand of Aragon was very happy with the job they have done. Very good. And so we keep many European traditions, like, for example, we have now a pope. So this pope is the first one from the southern hemisphere and the first one from the Americas. So you can tell that they also have to learn about diversity in the Catholic Church. We also have a queen in the Netherlands, and we also have a god everywhere. But we also have some more progressive types of legislature or whatever. We have free health care, for example, and free education. This means that when you are sick or where you want to go to university, you can basically just go with no debt and no whoever you are and wherever you live, you have free access to this. This middle ground between the US, where you have to pay like $100,000 for anything, and Sweden, where they pay you to go to university. And before it was mainstream, we approved gay marriage. This was same-sex marriage 5 years ago, before everyone was talking about it. So that's interesting. Now, things that are not so fun in Argentina. Previous century, we have every 5 years a dictatorship, basically, more or less. And this led to crazy economical problems. For example, in the '89, we had 20,000% of inflation. This is 4 more zeros than what you get in the US. And in the '89, my parents would rush into the supermarkets in the morning to avoid the rise of prices during the day, so that things in the afternoon would be more expensive. So nobody can save in Argentina typically. Right now, the inflation is around 10%, but actually it's 25% because the government is tinkering with all the numbers so that they can look better, but I think that that's backfiring. The same is happening with the dollar. The government says that it's 10 pesos, but it's actually 15. So if you are planning to visit, bring your foreign currency and sell it in the blue market, which is an euphemism for black market, and that allows you to create money out of nothing, like the American. So all the things that we live every 15 years, more or less, have taught us to adapt and to not identify ourselves with what we have and just deal with it. Some random lifestyle facts. We like very long over tables, like sobremesas we call them. This is the time that you spend after your meal having a nice conversation with the person around you. That's why we consider it rude when in a restaurant they bring you the check without asking for it. This took some time for me to get used to it in the US, where you have it half an hour after you enter the place, and I'm having a conversation here. So that is different. Another random fact, knocking on friends' doors unannounced is always okay. They will hate you for 5 minutes, but in the six minutes they will be preparing dinner for you. So combine this with the long sobremesas, and you get people who are very welcoming, very friendly, and who get up later than they should. And the last one, Argentina, the US, and Sweden share a similar consumption per capita of alcohol, which I think might be very convenient for this summit. And speaking of consumption per capita, we have the highest almost in the world consumption of beef. We are number 2 in the planet. The US is number 5, and we consume double the amount of the US. These very reliable stats, I took them from beeftolive.com. We have the worst beers, don't buy them, but we have the best wines. So if you're going to buy something in a supermarket, always choose a wine. They are affordable, they are excellent. We have a beautiful city, 13 million people. This is about the size of New York City, thriving cultural life, beautiful place. You get theaters, libraries, nightclubs, whatever you want. You get places like the Bar de Roberto, where people go and continue to sing tangos, like that famous type of dance and music that we have, in the same way that we were doing in the 20s when the immigration was coming from Europe. This is beautiful, very authentic place, very small, kind of divey. And it gets very passionate, very emotional there. There are some other places which are fancier, and they allow for big orchestras full of squeeze boxes, violins, and just beautiful music. We also have the best most beautiful theater I have seen in my life, and I was lucky enough to see many. This is the Teatro Colón. You can go there to see classical performances like concerts and opera and things like that. But you can go also any time of day, in any day, for a guided tour to see its beautiful architecture, decorations, and history. Another theater, which we repurposed as a library, is El Ateneo. This is a beautiful place. You can take a book from a shelf, go to the theater boxes, sit in an armchair, and just read. This is magical, beautiful place, 20 blocks away from Teatro Colón if you're walking. We have many natural wonders, but I only mention a few of them so that Ana doesn't sprinkle me with her water gun. We have the Cerro Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain of the Americas. This is 24,000 feet. For Europeans and South Americans, this is like 7,000 meters. Beautiful landscape. This is in the province of Mendoza, where we produce all our wine. So it's like just perfect. But if you're going to drink so much wine, don't go hiking into the Aconcagua National Park. We have the Cerro Torre in the Patagonia. This crazy landscape, beautiful landscape. If you cross to Chile, you see similarly shaped mountains. This is one of the hardest mountains to climb in the world. Yesterday we were speaking with Sid about it. We have a place called La Quebrada de las Flechas, which is this crazy landscape that looks like the moon, but it's in Argentina. Also, I was seeing the book of photos that we have in the hotel for Colorado State. There is a place which looks very similar to this one. I'm looking forward to visit it. And there's so much more, but that's been enough, so you know where to find me.